Thank you for joining the Sisters of the Living Word for their first jazz brunch as they celebrate their 40th anniversary. Your past support has enabled the sisters to share their gifts of ministry for the past 4 decades. It was back in 1975, after Vatican II called for the renewal of religious life, that 90 brave and bold women left the Sisters of Christian Charity Religious Order. These pioneers formed a new order which they named Sisters of the Living Word. Founded on the principles of openness and equality, the women followed Sister Anna Marie Cook and pledged to free the oppressed and give new life. This was in response to the needs of the times. For the past 40 years, the sisters have fulfilled this pledge. Many of the sisters have served as teachers. In Louisiana, Sister Judy Ann uses the Montessori method to instruct preschool-age children. In Chicago, Sister Jean empowers single mothers to raise their children. In Minnesota, Sister Louise opened and directed a sewing shop. Some of the sisters are involved in social service ministries. Sister Carrie is the program manager for Faith Community Homes in Arlington Heights. The nonprofit organization provides for the needs of financially needy families. The nonprofit organization PADS provides for the homeless in the northwest suburbs. The sisters prepare meals for PADS guests. As crusaders for social change, the sisters hold an annual peace prayer gathering at the Arlington Heights Living Word Center. As you can see, the sisters give generously of their time and talents. Today, the sisters begin to write the next chapter in their history book. They have decided to work alongside other organizations to address imminent social needs. To that end, the sisters have decided to donate their time and resources to 4 community outreach projects that assist the needy. The projects are located in Michigan, Louisiana, Minnesota, and Illinois. The first is a collaborative project in Flint, Michigan. Working with St. Francis Prayer Center and Christ the King Catholic Church, the Michigan Associates of the Sisters of the Living Word rehab JoJo's house, a 2-story home to be occupied by a single mother and her 2 young children. Together, the volunteers replaced windows, siding, the kitchen sink, the stove, and refrigerator. Then, they repaired the plumbing and electricity. Finally, they painted the walls and furnished the home. Now, as mentors, the Sisters of the Living Word Associates help the single mother gain new life through self-sufficiency. The second community outreach project helps the sisters fulfill their 2005 Earth Charter promise. The sisters are helping to restore barrier islands in the Gulf of Mexico that have been imperiled by climate change, development, and engineering projects. To be protectors of God's handiwork is essential to a life of virtue. It is not an optional or a secondary aspect of our Christian experience, wrote Pope Francis in his June 2015 Laudato Si on care for our common home. The coastal islands were impacted by Hurricanes Rita and Katrina in 2005, and the British petroleum oil spill in 2010. The islands provide refuge for pelicans and migratory birds. As coastal barriers, the islands protect the residents of New Orleans from wind and water. This past February, the sisters and their Belle Chase, Louisiana associates started growing seedlings. The blue irises and seaside goldenrod will be planted on the barrier islands to help restore the soil. On March 18th, the sisters sponsored a coastal preservation learning experience. Experts from Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation presented information on the growing problem of coastal erosion. The third community outreach project fulfills the sisters' objective of freeing the oppressed. Due to the internet, human trafficking has increased. To counter this, the sisters work with the Anti-Human Trafficking Working Group of the Sisters of St. Joseph in Minnesota. To decrease the incidence of human trafficking, the sisters fund educational seminars for high school students. The fourth Sisters of the Living Word Community Outreach Project is advocating for immigrants. This social justice project is a collaborative effort with the Illinois-based Interfaith Committee for Detained Immigrants. The sisters provide funds for monthly rent and food assistance at 2 Chicago area locations for detainees who are escaping from oppression and persecution in their homelands. Male detainees reside at the former convent of St. Mary's of Czestochowa in Cicero. Female detainees and children reside at the Catholic Theological Union in Hyde Park. At both locations, the detainees receive safe shelter, basic needs, legal aid, counseling, and English language lessons. The Sisters of the Living Word aim to provide the detainees with new life through the Word. These are prime components of their charism. For 40 years, the Sisters of the Living Word have devoted themselves to protecting God's creatures on earth, the poor, the homeless, the voiceless. Thank you for being here today and for celebrating this 40-year milestone with the Sisters of the Living Word. It is through your continued support that the sisters can teach children to care for God's creation through recycling, jump into action, and batten down the hatches when a hurricane targets the Gulf Coast, organize volunteers to install a water project in Mississippi, and care for children from abused homes. These actions create the legacy of love of the Sisters of the Living Word.